Hi, it's Jackie here from the LGFA. It's Tuesday evening, if I have my days right. Who knows what day we have anymore. And yeah, we're on another Zoom call and we're looking back at some of the weekend's key action from across the country. I have three very, very special guests. Top left-hand side of my screen is Gráinne Kenneally from Eadestown in Kildare, who were crowned Kildare champions at the weekend. Aishling Saunders was captain of the Portlaoise team that made history in Laois by winning their first ever senior county title. And Aishling Mccarty from Clare in County Tipperary, who knows all about Portlaoise these days. They were crowned county champions in Tipperary over the weekend after extra time against Aherlow in an absolute cracker. Gráinne Kenneally can have a little bit of time off and relax for herself now for a little while. But Aishling Saunders and Aishling Mccarty have more key games coming up over the weekend. So let's get straight to it, ladies. Tuesday evening, really appreciate your time. So Gráinne Kenneally, how are you? How's all in your world?
All's good, yeah. All's good.
Excellent. We were chatting last week to Grace Clifford and she sung your praises very highly about the attributes that you have, obviously, in your work with the army, and we've chatted about this before, but that's those key attributes that she feels are very transferable, Gráinne, when it comes to your playing as well. Would you agree with her that there's a lot of stuff that you do in work that transfer onto the field of play and in your training, Gráinne?
Look, I suppose 100% it was more of a brown envelope job there at Grace last week, just sort of sing my praises or whatever. But I know, look, teamwork, resilience, physical fitness, physical courage, all that's key to the Defence Forces. And I suppose I'd like to think I had them before I joined the Defence Forces, and maybe the Defence Forces just refined them a little bit more for me. So yeah, there's definitely plenty of life skills that you can transfer from the field to your day's work.
Gráinne, tell me about the switch to play club football with Eadestown. Obviously, it was probably a natural thing in so many ways because you're based in Kildare now. So how did all that come about?
So I suppose I've been based in Kildare now on and off since 2012. Obviously, the Curragh camp is a key training centre for the Defence Forces. So I would have started my own training in the Curragh camp, and I found myself back in the Curragh camp now as an instructor back in the cadet school. So I'm here in Naomh right now. It's where I've lived for the last number of years. I did the commuting like Ashling's talking about there up and down from Portlaoise. I did it for a few years, but I suppose I'm getting near the twilight years at this stage, and just the mileage on the road was killing my car and killing my pocket. And I suppose maybe the body wasn't as able for it as it was before. And I've had a few, unfortunately, serious enough injury in the last few years. So just thought I'd have a bit of a swan song and try and enjoy the football while I could enjoy it. Yeah,
we'll come back to that in a sec, Gráinne, in terms of your resilience and bouncing back from serious injury, which is obviously the dreaded fate that befalls an athlete. Aishling Saunders, congratulations to Portlaoise. The town is buzzing, is it, after the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely buzzing, yeah. Thanks a million.
So
Unbelievable.
You stopped Sarsfields doing the 8 in a row, which must have been nice, but I guess for yourselves it's an historic very first senior title.
Yeah, like I even now at this stage, I'm still like have to pinch myself. Did this really happen? Did we actually win? Like, I still feel like I'm dreaming half the time. But no, we're delighted. We're absolutely thrilled now. We couldn't be happier.
You had a good couple of days, had you?
Yeah, we had a good couple of days, but the celebrations had to stop then yesterday when we found out we were out on Sunday again. So we'll have to halt now for a little while.
Good, and hopefully there's more days to come. We'll have a chat to you about what lies in store, Aishling, very soon. Aishling Mccarty is parked up. Where are you, Aishling? Urlingford, is it at the moment?
Yeah, some random street in Urlingford. On my way back home to Tip for training, so had to be done.
Good. Thanks for taking the call and for stopping in, because obviously you're in transit at the moment and you're abiding by all the rules of the road, which is great as well, Ash. Come here, talk to me about the game at the weekend against Aherlow. An absolutely fantastic game by all accounts. I was dipping in and out of it on the live stream. You were expecting a tough game, Ashling, and you certainly got one from Aherlow.
Yeah, I think a lot of people said they enjoyed the spectacle, but it probably wasn't the nicest game to play. It was very high intensity, and we knew that Aherlow were going to bring that to the table. And I think it was the 35th minute in the second half when Anna Rose popped over a score for Aherlow and put them a point ahead. So it wasn't looking good then, but thankfully we got a turnover and Roshan Howard popped up the equaliser in normal time. So I think then just when it went to extra time, like we just came out of the traps and we really found our rhythm and we got a couple of goals. And I think we had kind of a an easy win in the end. I suppose we kind of could play out the clock, but I don't think the scoreboards really reflected how tough the game was, and normal time went really down to the wire. So we're just delighted to get the win, and we knew Aherlow would really come at us. They're a great side, and I have a lot of teammates with Tipperary as well that play with them. So the rivalry is definitely good against them as well. So it was very intense.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a sweet one for you, Ash. And look, we're not going to get into the ins and outs of what happened last week, but I think it's fair to say that if you played a Camogie final on Saturday and went into that game on Sunday, number one, you mightn't have made extra time. And number two, if you did somehow get to extra time, you wouldn't have found that burst that you did find in extra time to get the job done.
No, definitely not. Like, I think we probably would have definitely struggled, and we need those fresh legs, and even our bench made a massive difference as well coming on Sunday, and they played a huge role. And I think we would have been spent if we had a match the day before, and we nearly got caught out in the semi-final as well against Brian Bruce. We went about 6 or 7 points down with only about 10 minutes left. So look, we found it in the tank that day and we finished strong, but I don't know if we would have had it in our legs if we played 2 matches at the weekend. But look, we kind of put that behind us. We didn't really find any real resolution with it, but just like to thank the Camogie club. I suppose the people I feel very sorry for are the girls that only play Camogie, and they didn't get the opportunity to play at the weekend. But I think what they sacrificed for their teammates to ensure that everyone stayed injury free and put people's welfare first was was a massive step. And just hopefully that we don't get put in that, I suppose, position again, and hopefully other teams don't either. But obviously it is a tight calendar as well to get games played, so we do appreciate everything that the volunteers do. But I think we couldn't have played 2 matches at the weekend, and we're just delighted that we were able to get the win in football as well, and show for something at the weekend anyway.
Yeah, shame you were put into that position, I have to say, Ashling, and congrats on the win, and commiserations to Aherlow. As you say, you have so many teammates on that team as well that play alongside you with Tipperary. So I'm going back to Gráinne up in Naas. Gráinne, Grace did allude to the fact that you've made an incredible comeback from injury in recent times, and look, it's not the first time you've suffered injuries, unfortunately, and it happens to so many players. So what would the latest setback you have, if my memory serves me right, was cruciate? So how did you manage to get back from this one, and what was the process involved?
I suppose in the grand scheme of things, I'm playing Gaelic games a long time, and really throughout all of that, I've only had 2 serious injuries, and unfortunately both of them just happened to be the cruciate. Yeah. I've broken my nose a few times or whatever, but that doesn't really prevent you from playing. Look, the cruciate, it's just one of those injuries that requires surgery, requires a fair amount of prehabilitation to be put in advance of the surgery, and then it's a long road to recovery after the surgery as well. You're literally starting off with the basics. You're on crutches for the first number of weeks, and then you have to get, I suppose, power back into the muscles that maybe have been laying static for a little while, and then from there you have to build up the leg and the muscles around the leg and allow the new ligaments to be accepted by the body into your knee as well. And I suppose a huge part as well that maybe goes untalked about is the confidence side of it. It's a huge injury, it's a huge blow. Even, I suppose, I only had it a few years ago. I would have thought I was quite an experienced player, mature player at that stage, but it still knocks you for 6. And there's times when you're questioning, will I get back to the standard I was at previously? But I think that's where teammates and a good support structure around you is critical, really.
Gráinne, what was the one that affected you the most in terms of the rehab and recovery? The first one, I guess, was a venture into the unknown because you didn't really know what lay in store, because it's obviously the first time you'd done your cruciate. And perhaps being those few years younger, the recovery might have been that bit quicker. But when it happened then a second time, okay, it's a massive devastation, but at least you know the road that lies in store for you. The recovery might have been that little bit slower, I don't know. So in terms of the 2 rehabs and those 2 processes, how do you compare them?
So I suppose the first one, it was, novelty is certainly not the right word, but it was all new and you bought into it. I think the second time it was much harder. It was my same knee second time, which obviously had complications in relation to my graft came the first time came from the same hamstring of the same leg, whereas the second time I had to take a graft from my other leg. So now I had to rehabilitate both legs back to the standard I needed to get back playing. And I suppose the second time in the recovery process, I had different milestones along the way that I was aiming to hit, having hit them the first time. But the process was that little bit longer and that little bit slower the second time because my knee had already taken a battering. That I suppose I found that difficult at times. I was like, oh, at 4 months I'll be able to do X, or at 6 months I'll be able to do Y. And when I wasn't getting there, then I was like, Jesus, maybe I won't be able to bounce back from this one. So it was definitely, it's trying to stay at it and stay with the process. And just like, it comes down to long hours and lonely hours as well, because most of the time you're doing it on your own in a gym or in a pool or out in the roads on your own, when all you want to be is in a pitch with your teammates around you. So I think it was the length of the process the second time that I found a little bit more difficult. I got back after 9 months, my first time round, and it was 12 months by the time I got back the second time.
Okay. And when a day like the weekend comes along, then Gráinne, it must be really, really special. Because, you know, you have enjoyed some great days before in the past, particularly with Waterford as well during your inter-county days. But how does last weekend must have been very, very special. It
was. In fairness to Eadestown, they're a very small club in Kildare, and they've really just taken me under their wing. When I moved up to Kildare, it was important for me from a social aspect just to meet new people. My life is now in Kildare, it's in Naomh. So it was important, I suppose, to build a social circle up around here. And that's what Eadestown offered to me. And they were in the county final 2 years ago, or I should say we were in it 2 years ago, but obviously I missed it because of my cruciate. Yeah. So to be back on Saturday, it wasn't something I mentioned or anything like that, but it was definitely something in my head. I felt as though I missed out on an opportunity. I was still involved in 18. I kind of adopted a coaching role, but I'm too young to be a coach just yet. I want to play as long as I can play and enjoy while I'm playing. So, it was special. It was great to be back. I'm great to be back with like my new circle of friends, to be honest, and people that I work with in the army as well. So, yeah, it was important.
Super. There's plenty of life left in you, Gráinne, and plenty of football to be played. Absolutely. Aishling Saunders. So, I mean, you obviously had a good time after winning that county final, but you're back out again next weekend. It's Naomh Ciaran in the Leinster semi-final. I presume it's fair enough to say you don't know a whole lot about Naomh Ciaran. When you've got a challenge like Sarsfields in front of you, you're not looking too much further than that.
Yeah, no, we haven't done much homework now on them. I'd say our manager could be home now at the minute, trying to do as much research as he can. But no, we wouldn't know a whole lot about them now. We were just focused on Sarsfields, and after that then we kind of weren't really thinking about anything else.
Have you training tonight, or when are you back in the field?
No, we're back usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, but this week now we're going to go Wednesdays and Friday. Okay,
good stuff. When you win a title like a county title for the very first time, is everything now bonus territory, Ashling, or do you think to yourself, well, look, we've worked so hard to win the county championship, let's go into the province and give this a real go as well?
Oh yeah, no, 100%, definitely. Like, we were just so thrilled with the win on Sunday, and we didn't think for a second past that. We were just focused on Saturday. We were just focused on that. But now I suppose we see what we can do, and when we perform well, we perform really well. And there's some great football that we play as well when we have everything right and our tactics working and stuff like that. So yeah, we will be looking to go into Leinster now and give it a good go for its money.
You're a teacher in Ballyfin, Ashling. How has life been since the kids returned to school and since the teachers returned back?
Yeah, it's actually it's like it's the new normal now, and we just have to get used to it, But it was definitely strange at first, but now you just get so used to it every day. It's just like like it's normal now, going into school and just following all the guidelines and restrictions and things like that. So just have to do as best we can.
Did you bring in the trophy this week?
I did, yeah. I brought in the trophy today, yeah.
Brilliant. So there was a great buzz around, was there?
Yeah, the classroom was decorated for me as well, and there was a few posters made yesterday, so it was brilliant now going into this morning. It was excellent. Excellent
stuff. Aishling, this wouldn't be obviously your first time around the block winning trophies and silverware, but where does this one rate, Aishling, given the background of last week and coming into it? And I saw some of obviously the full-time scenes as well. I think this one meant an awful lot to you, Aishling. That one's for Ash. That one's
Is
for Ash
Aishling
Mack. Yeah, I should have distinguished there. Yeah, Aishling Mccarty.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously last year Aherlow won, so it's been a couple of years since we got our hands on that trophy, so we're quite determined. But I think we all just really enjoyed this year having football back, and it gave us probably a new appreciation for it. And every training session we really enjoyed and we didn't take for granted. So I think there was a little bit of a difference in our group this year, which was great. And I think it's been really important as well to have sport back for the communities and the families as well. Even at the end, I got to spend it with my granddad, which was really important because I suppose a couple of weeks ago my nana got quite sick. So for him to
Okay.
be able to get out of the house and watch the game, for a couple of hours and keep his mind off it was really great. And to see the smile on his face after the match was brilliant as well. So I just think different things like that made this year extra special, and we all just really appreciated it a lot more. And kind of like Ashling said, I suppose we were just concentrating on the way they were concentrating on Sarsfields, we were concentrating on Aherlow. So I think we're kind of going into this match on Friday now. We don't have too much homework done on the banner either, but we know that they're a really brilliant side. So it'll definitely be a real tough game, and all the clubs I suppose that do compete in Munster are of a very high standard. So I don't know if we have much expectations, but we'll definitely just go out and do our best this weekend.
Is Nan okay?
Well, she's still in hospital, but hopefully she's staying strong at the moment. So I think she reacted when she heard we won the match. So that's a good thing. But we don't know yet. We're kind of taking it day by day. But I think I found sport really important over the past couple of weeks. Just heading to training and having that social side of things. And as well, I'll mention as well, Portlaoise ladies, like they've opened their arms as well to me up in Portlaoise, and I've been at some of their trainings. So I don't have to travel home the whole time. So as Gráinne was speaking about meeting her circle of friends up in Kildare, I think that was really important for me to meet people as well in Portlaoise. So big shout out to them as well for allowing me to train alongside them and meet girls up in Portlaoise too.
Good stuff, Ash. We send our best wishes to Nan. We really do, and we hope everything works out there for you guys.
Thanks a million.
Ash, so how are you settling into life in Portlaoise? I know I had you on an Insta Live not so long ago, and you were just settling into life in Portlaoise. How is it for you now?
Yeah, I'm loving it now. I'm actually living with a couple of Aishling Saunders teammates, so Alison Taylor and Shauna Jackson. So it's a great crack, and I actually went up to their match on Saturday when we realised we weren't playing the Camogie. So just even like be there with them as well and get to meet people is brilliant. And I'm really enjoying, I suppose, my career as well as a physio. So we're getting busy now in the hospital, I suppose, heading into the winter. We're kind of getting prepared for that side of things. But no, I'm learning loads up there as well. And then it's nice also to have that social circle outside of the hospital as well. So no, it's great. I'm enjoying it so far anyway.
Good. Glad to hear you're doing well. Gráinne, back to you there. I think I have you on. Yeah, you're back. So Gráinne, how's life in the army? Because you did a stint abroad, and I think you were in Golan Heights at the. If again my memory's jogging here, were you out there with Bonner Mar and a couple of others like that a couple of years ago now? Was it, Gráinne?
Yeah, 2016-17 served in Undaff as a platoon commander with the 54th Infantry Group, and Bonner Mar was actually out there as well. He was one of the soldiers within the other platoon, not the platoon that I was involved with, but the other platoon. We actually, our goalkeeper at the start of the year for Eadestown should have been at the match on Saturday with us, but she actually just went into quarantine last Tuesday. She's due to deploy to Undaff 2 weeks' time, so They have to do an isolation period before they can get on the plane to go overseas. So Siobhan Tierney was someone who should have been there with us on Saturday, but unfortunately she got to watch the stream, but I know she would have loved to have been there.
Absolutely. Grog, can I just ask in general terms how life has been affected for people in the army with COVID, and how things have changed, or has it changed, or what's everyday life like now for you guys?
It's changed. We're very busy. My own unit there, the cadet school, back in March when I suppose the first peak came, we actually ceased the training that we were doing with the cadets, and we became the first contact tracers nationally for the country. So essentially ourselves with the HSC rolled out the pilot contact tracing unit that has basically set the template for how contact tracing is done. Now, we did it for 8 weeks until kind of things got under control again, and we were able to recommence our training with the cadets and hand over the contact tracing to the Defence Forces band to take over. So the Defence Forces are very busy in relation to COVID, whether it's our medics or our medical first responders doing the testing itself. Our logistics had a huge role there in the deployment of PPE across the country when we first got the arrivals in from China, and contact tracers, our own medical doctors are flat to the mat, working double jobs really, because they're working their jobs in the Defence Forces, and then they're also assisting everywhere and anywhere that they can in really what's a national effort now.
Yeah, it's a national emergency, and it's very much a national effort, as you say, Gráinne. So what's a typical week like for you now, or does it vary from week to week? And where do you find the time for training and to look after the little doggy that you have there as well?
He won't shut up down below. Yeah, so basically I'm based in the cadet school, which is the training institution for training cadets to become officers in the Defence Forces. So I actually would have been a cadet when I first joined the Defence Forces, did my training in the cadet school, and it's gone full circle now. So I'm actually back as the company second in command to the current cadet class, which is the 96th cadet class. So there is no typical week is the answer. I'm only just saying there, I was in work today, came home to do this, and I'm going straight back in to do a night navigation exercise this evening with the cadets. Was lecturing the cadets yesterday, will be on the ground next week, living in trenches for 2 weeks with the cadets on exercise, and then we'll come back and we'll do a Guard of Honour down in Cork for the centenary of the War of Independence. So there is no typical week. I couldn't possibly give a standard week or a standard answer really.
It's so varied. It sounds really, really interesting. Is it overwhelming at times, Gráinne, or do you just take every day as it comes? That, as you say, something out of the blue could happen to you on any given day.
Well, I suppose the position I'm in now, that I'm back there as an instructor and not as a cadet. As a cadet, it's overwhelming. It's intense. I'm on the other side of it now, so thankfully I get to do the planning and the preparation, so I know well in advance what's coming ahead. No doubt COVID has made it very difficult for us. It's the Defence Forces priorities are operational as opposed to on training, and we have to manage that and manage how we achieve our mission, which is to train cadets to become commissioned officers. But look, just the current pandemic that's going on at the minute, I think it's the new normal. We just have to adapt and overcome, and I think the organisation is very good at doing that.
Yeah, I wish you well, Gráinne. Wish you well with everything, and the job you do is quite extraordinary, I have to say. Aishling Saunders, an extraordinary job that teachers are doing in these strange times as well. Were you happy enough to get back into the classroom, or did you have reservations, or how did you feel about all of that?
No, I was definitely happy enough now to get back. Like when we were in lockdown and the schools were closed, we were doing a lot of work online. And it's just not the same as being there, face to face with children. Like, they were sending back work and stuff for you to correct, but like it wasn't the same at all. Now it was okay, I suppose, to keep a lot of them ticking over, but it's good just to get back into the classroom now and see familiar faces and just get back, talking to your staff and working together and trying to do our best.
Yeah, because we have our youngest boy Jack, or our eldest boy Jack, has started school, and he loves it. Aishling, and I guess it's just not to underestimate that, your love for your work, but also the fact that the kids love going in and interacting with each other as well.
Yeah, but even like I remember when we started back the first day, they were just non-stop chatting to one another, and you'd want, like, you couldn't tell them to stop because they hadn't seen each other in so long, so you'd have to I just let them chat for the day and just said, look, they can make up for lost time now, we'll start a bit of work maybe next week. And
how much did you miss football during the time when there was none, Ashling, because it's obviously a massive part of your life? And how did you keep in touch on the Zoom calls or the WhatsApps? What way did you manage it as a club?
Yeah, so we had a WhatsApp group, and that stayed ticking over the lockdown. And we'd have, maybe some weeks we'd have different challenges just to keep everyone interested. And we got gym programs and things like that and running to be doing. So it was nice in a way to keep in touch, because you'd miss it, like when you are training so much, like 3 nights a week, you'd miss it then when it just stops altogether.
So everyone did their runs anyway. It wasn't the case that you could throw some water over the head and pretend you were sweating and throw that picture into the group.
No, it was professional enough now. You had to put it in on the Map My Run app.
Very good. Very good, very good. Aishling McCarthy, in terms of being a physio and that obviously that close contact with clients and that, how have you managed all of that over the past while? Is it relaxing a little bit now, or what way do you have to manage everything?
No, well, I guess I started the job in May in Portlaoise Hospital, and I think there's a lot of policies and procedures in at the moment, and in our line of work, I guess it's really difficult not to, I suppose, socially distance from the patients that you'd be seeing. So I'm on the wards, and I'd often work really closely with some of my colleagues as well if we need two people to go into one person and things like that. So we're always wearing a surgical mask, so one of those kind of blue ones.
Yeah.
All day bar when we go on our break, and then for some type of patients that are in different infection controls or in isolation, we'd wear kind of different, so it's PPE and things like that. But yeah, there'd be like just infection control signs up for different things, but I suppose our line of work hasn't changed at all. Like, we'd still be doing the same work, but you are just a little bit more careful and more aware, and everyone is trying to keep their distance, but sometimes it's not that possible. But I think it seems quite normal. I was glad to kind of start work because I've been locked up in the house for a couple of months before I ended up getting the job. So I just delighted to have some bit of normality and to have a bit of a routine once I started work then.
Actually, after becoming a physio, and obviously nobody knows your own body like yourself in terms of how you react to training and how you recover. Do you have a greater understanding now of your own training, and even on a week like this when you've come through such an intense game after extra time, to recover properly and to get back up for, it's just 5 days later you're back out against Banner. So how important has the education piece been to you in terms of managing your own physical well-being?
Yeah, definitely having that insight is really helpful and important, just for like injury prevention and recovery, and even just little like strength work and stuff that I do throughout the year. But yeah, no, before I did the physio course, I'd probably be the worst person to take advice from people about, recovery and things like that. But now I do realize how important it is. But I think, with the times as well, people are knowing that it is more important, and injury prevention is a massive thing. And, even the warm-ups that you do at training sessions to ensure that you're preventing like ACL injuries and hamstring injuries is really important. And just monitoring your load, obviously, as well as you get older. I suppose when I was a teenager, you could probably play 2 or 3 matches in a week, but you realize now that would probably be, nearly erring on the side of stupidity, because you probably will get injured. So I think you just get a bit smarter and just manage your load as you get older. But definitely having the physio background would help with that as well.
Absolutely. So I talk about 2 or 3 in a week. Never mind 2 over the course of one weekend, Ashling. But anyway, look, you've come through that little battle, and you have the county senior medal in your back pocket. Ladies, I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to let you go. Gráinne Kenneally, best wishes on your exercise later on back in work. So I thank you for taking time out of what's obviously a very, very busy day. Make sure you get the dog a few nuts before you head off as well. Aishling Saunders, best wishes against Naomh Ciaran at the weekend. Your next adventure, one competition down, so you're back into a new competition. And Aishling Mccarty, safe driving home, and you're out against the Banner, Clare against the Banner ladies on Friday night for a slot in the Munster semi-finals. Ladies, great talking to you today. Stay safe and stay well, and thanks a lot.
Thanks a
Thanks,
million.
Jackie.